Hello, Old Outdoor Broad here. No glasses on this episode. I just decided I'm looking at them and they're reflecting way too many lights. So thought I would take them off for this episode. So we're going to continue on our tech talk, tech trek, whatever we want to call it. Bottom line is me sharing apps and technology that I use to enhance my outdoor experiences and how I use them. Just a reminder, nothing I do is intended to be all inclusive. It's just the apps I use and how I use them to help myself. So what we're going to talk about today is AllTrails. So here's how AllTrails fits into my planning. We did last time recreation.gov. And what we went through was basically to see that on that website for federal places you want to go, monuments, preserves, national parks, whatever it is. In many cases, you can make reservations or get your tickets through the recreation.gov website. And they also have a trip builder, a trip planning tool. So if you're planning an extended trip and visiting multiple places, it's possible you could plan and book the majority of those, if not all of them, with that tool and on the recreation.gov website. So we're going to use an example of my upcoming trip to Death Valley. I'm going to be going to Death Valley next month, February of 2025. And I used recreation.gov to reserve a campsite. So that is done. And now, what am I going to do, right? I want to figure out what to do and what might be the best trails to hike, given that, I have a limited amount of time on each trip. This is what I use AllTrails for, to decide where I want to hike. Doesn't mean it's, set in stone. I may change my mind. But basically, to choose hikes, pick a variety of possibilities, and say, yeah, that's feasible. That's what I'm looking for. So let's stop talking about it and let's go to the AllTrails website and I will show you what it is that I do. Alrighty, here we are. AllTrails. This is the website. This is on the laptop. I do have a subscription and an account. As always, I recommend that you do that based on what your usage is going to be. And of course, it brings up Phoenix. I'm in Arizona, and Phoenix is the most populated and hence popular area, most used. So that just comes up automatically. So let me take you through a couple of items here up in the right. The first is Explore, nearby trails, community, and national park guides. I don't use any of these. Nearby trails is self-explanatory. Guides, I tried to look at one and it didn't present me with anything. Now that may be because I don't have the right level of subscription in order to access them. Community is connecting. So this is their connect with others. And you want to find people to hike with in the Phoenix area, for example, you could use this tool to find other folks and connect with them. You can link to Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. And if you have friends who use AllTrails, you can share with them as well. So that's what community is. And again, I do not use any of these right now. Shop, self-explanatory, that's merchandise. And then saved. So in saved, they have favorites, my maps, and any lists of stuff you may have made. There are a few maps in there, but I don't use them. I do, however, use favorites. So for right now, I'm not going to click on that because what I want to do instead is start from the beginning, right? I am planning a trip to Death Valley. And granted, I've already been through this, but let me show you how I went to where I went. So we're going to go into the search bar and it brings up Death Valley because I did recently search Death Valley. So we're going to click on that. You would type in wherever it is you want to go if you hadn't done a previous search or if it's your first time using the website. So this is what it brings up. Best trails in Death Valley National Park. Now, right here, see, it's can't hardly see it, but it does say Furnace Creek. That's where I'm going to be camping. So that's important because here's what happens. Now, there's the first trails, the Mosaic Canyon. Now you see how this ribbon here is dark green? See how this is white? This dark one is dark because I've added it to favorites already. Now, watch the topo map to the right when I hover over the trail. Tells you where it is. See that little green tail there? All right, so it shows you basically where it is. So it's not too far from Furnace Creek. It's to the northwest. And then it's in a mountainous area. And then as you can see, there's a picture, and that's why I added it to a favorite. I thought, man, that looks interesting. Now, here's what I look at and what I focus on when I'm looking at trails. I look at the overall rating, 5 being the highest. There are over 3,000 reviews that people have put on. I've reviewed a couple of trails on this app. It tells me the difficulty level, and I typically look for hard or moderate. And it tells me the mileage. And also, with nothing else there, this tells me that's 3.5 miles out and back. And you can see on the right, the green tail is really short. So in other words, it's a little over 1.5 miles in and a little over 1.5 miles out. That is total mileage, not one-way mileage. So just for fun, let's look at Golden Canyon. So Golden Canyon is right at Furnace Creek. If I wanted to add it, I don't have it on my favorites, but if I wanted to add it, I could click the little ribbon there, and it's going to say save to list. So I could create a new list, or I can just put it into favorites. Probably one day I'm going to have to start creating lists for the different locations instead of just dumping everything into favorites. But right now, I'll just click on favorites. I have 30 items in my favorites. Hit done, and as you can see, it's now dark and it's in my favorites. So that's easy. That's how you add it to favorites. Now, this one's already in Golden Canyon and Gower Gulch Loop. Now, here's what's key about that. Loop. See, I like loop trails. I prefer loops to out and back. So this is a really, really valuable thing that it's added. It tells me the mileage. Now, for a loop trail, that's a little short. Now, I say that because typically when I think about a day hiking, I think about a day hiking. And 6 miles isn't going to take a whole day. That's a little short. I need roughly 10 or thereabouts for a whole day. And I will at this point in time, and you can look at this as you're looking at the screen, tell you in Death Valley, most of the hikes are short, which I find really interesting. But they are. You see above 2.9 and below 1.9. And I think the Mosaic Canyon was 2 or 3. So most of them are relatively short. So this is going to also impact my thinking about the trip and how I spend my days. Now, let me go ahead and click on this because there's useful information once you click on, there we go. My mouse didn't want to work there. Okay, so this brings up details about it. Good picture. There's over 7,000 pictures, and it looks really pretty. Another picture there, and then a little topographical map of it. Gives you the elevation gain, the length, which we already know, confirms that this is a loop trail, and then gives a description, however much description you may or may not want about the trail. Important stuff here, fee required. That's because it's in a national park. Dogs are not allowed typically on any national park trails. And then a little more information, scramble, rocky views, and there'll be some wildlife. This is an AI compilation summary of what people say about the trail and the overall rating. And then they have this preview. Now, if any of you used the old Topo CD map program, one of the things they produced was what they called a flyover. And this is basically what this preview of the trail is. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Using satellite imagery to create this. So kind of a cool thing. Gives you an idea of, the terrain that you're going to be in. All right. So that's kind of a fun thing. Let's keep going. Aha! Now this is really important. So right now it's 64 at this location. The high is going to be 68. The low is going to be 48. Keep that in mind because that's going to be important, again, in terms of planning. All right, so let's keep going. So I know where that is in relationship to where I'm going to be camped. I could probably walk to the trailhead if the truth be told. Maybe that'll add that mile and I'll get up to my 10 miles, right? But let me keep going because there's a specific show more. So specific trail that I marked that I'm looking for. There we go. So Telescope Peak, 4.8. So basically the same rating. Picture looks pretty. It's hard, so it's challenging, and it's long, but of course, it's an out and back. There's no indicator of loop here, and we'll confirm that in a minute. And that doesn't mean you have to do the whole thing, right? But let's take a look at this. So this looked really pretty. That's why I marked it as a favorite and a possibility. But I did notice this right here, snow. Now, not too many people go to Death Valley in the summer for obvious reasons. It's extraordinarily hot. But let's take a look at this. So confirms the mileage over 3,000 foot elevation gain, and it does confirm out and back. Same thing, fee, no dogs, and tells you a little bit about it. The AI summary there, the flyover. But here's the big thing. 34 with a high of 36 and lows of 25. So see, I don't want to do that. So it looks pretty, and I'm kind of sad it's going to be that cold, but now I know. And boy, wouldn't I be surprised if I got over there and I don't have the right clothes, and I'm totally unprepared for that kind of weather. So I'm not going to do it. And this is why AllTrails is so great for planning trips and figuring out what you want to do. Again, there's a ton of information. Let's see where that is. So that came up under this 4 right here. Ton of information. I picked out a bunch. And then what I'm going to do, now that I've looked at this, and I'm not going to do this on the video, but I buy a big map. I buy a regular trail map, and I look at everything on the trail map once I've looked at it here. As we were doing our research, you probably saw this and wondered what this is. Get directions. I'm not going to click on that. That takes you to Google Maps, and it will show you a route to get to from wherever you are to, in this case, the Mosaic Trail in Death Valley. But let's look at this Hit the Trail, and let's see what that gives us. Download in app. So you can download this with the right subscription level. I think it's a premium subscription. You can download maps either here. I could download it onto my computer. You can download it on your phone via the AllTrails app. This is really interesting. Send to Garmin. So if you prefer to use a Garmin GPS device of some kind, and you are connected in that way, you can send it there. Open in the app, haven't tried that, and export. So you can export, again, this map file someplace that you would like it to go. So those are your hit the trail options, depending on how you use the map and the information. Okay, well, great tool, right? I started using AllTrails years ago, and they have made so many improvements. It's just so much better that it really takes guesswork, some of the guesswork out of planning hiking or camping trips or whatever. Of course, there is a phone app, and I do have it on my phone, but I have to confess, I don't use it. I don't use it. Because there's a different GPS when I need that I prefer to use that I think is better, which will actually be the next episode. And with a premium subscription, you can download the maps onto your phone. For me, teeny weeny little maps, uh, they just don't work. So I really don't use the phone app. With that, just a little commercial here, if you will. I always carry a paper map. So, like for a place like Death Valley, I buy the Nat Geo trail maps. Almost every trail that I find on AllTrails is on that map. I can find it on that. And I like having a big perspective. And again, when you're out in the field, technology is wonderful and it doesn't always work. And the only way your paper map isn't going to work is if you destroy it in some way, shape, or form. So that's my disclaimer, my advice, my recommendation. Use the technology and carry a paper map. That's it. That's all for this particular episode. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I hope to see you in the old outdoors. Thanks again.